Hi, I'm Alden. I'm a former Navy SEAL platoon commander, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I've invented lots of different things, but one of the things I've invented is the perfect push-up. Perhaps you're familiar with it. Along with an author of writing 2 different books, Be Unstoppable and Unstoppable Teams. But today, I want to talk to you about how to build an unstoppable mindset. You see, I don't want you to just survive during these uncertain times. I want you to thrive. So we're going to talk about 3 specific things you can do. But first, I want to give you a short story. And the story begins when I was first checked into SEAL training. You see, when you first start SEAL training, they don't actually put you into SEAL training. They put you in this pre-phase area for like 7 weeks. And they just kind of marinate you, wearing old Navy SEAL uniforms and teaching you different Navy SEAL phrases like what a sugar cookie is. That's being wet and sandy for long periods of time. And at the end of the 7th week, they make you take one more fitness test. The exact same fitness test you had to take 3 times before just to get into the program. It's exactly the same ones: push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, a swim, and a run. But except this time, they bring out an old character who runs all of first phase of training, which, by the way, people fear this instructor because that's where the majority of quitters occur. And he comes out to talk to us just before we start this final fitness test. And here's what he says to us. And oh, by the way, he talks in a deep Southern accent. And he says, "Class 181, gather around here for a minute. I won't take up much of your time, but I want to let you in on a little secret. Y'all interested to know how to make it through Navy SEAL training?" There's like 122 of us, right? It took us 2 years to get there. We're like all gathering around him, huddling like kids around a campfire to him. And he goes, "Yeah, I figured as much. It ain't complicated. It's hard, but it ain't complicated. You see, you just have to decide what you're going to focus on. Are you going to focus on the pain of training, or are you going to focus on the pleasure of graduating? You see, one of them is going to lead you to ring that bell right over there." He's pointing to a brass bell. You ring it 3 times and you quit immediately. The other thing he points to is this little graduation platform that you could stand on 9 months from there. And he says, "You know what my job is? My job is to create a conversation between here and here. A conversation that's going to drive you to make a decision on what you're going to focus on. Ringing that bell or graduating. So, do yourself a favor. Think real hard about what you're going to focus on before you take this next PT test. Because you pass this test, you're coming to my side of the compound. Come Monday morning, 0500. Bye now." Now he goes on for a little while, right, about how he's going to pound us like a hunk of metal and how a samurai sword is built and stuff like that. But the real point of telling you that story is it's exactly the same conversation we all deal with. You see, the conversation that I call out there is between the whiner and the whisperer. You know what the whiner is. We all have the whiner. The whiner focuses on the negative. The whiner says things like this: "Oh man, you know how hard this has been in quarantine, and we don't even know where we're going to get out of it. You know, they're not going to have a vaccine for months, maybe even years. And what's going to happen to my job? And where am I going to be? And am I even going to be able to survive this?" Right? It just feeds on the negativity. And then down below, there's the whisperer. And what's the whisperer doing? The whisperer says things that are a lot more quiet. Like, get up. Look for the opportunity. Keep going. Try it another way. Get up again. You can do it. Right? So, how you lead that conversation is going to directly impact how you either survive uncertainty or thrive in uncertainty. That's why we're all here. You see, all of us that are here speaking to you today, we want you to thrive. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to write a couple things up on the board. Number 1, the number 1 thing is understand the power of your focus. I call it focus on your focus. You see, at the end of the day, it's totally up to us what we want to focus on. Now, when I say about focus on your focus, what I'm talking about is the most important principle about focus. And that is, it creates a funnel. You see, it creates a funnel that does one very particularly important thing. It focuses our energy into taking an action. And the more focused, the more direct this funnel is, the more intense our action is. Understand that about the focus funnel. Now, number 2 is, and what will put holes in the sides of our funnel and dissipate energy to get less than 100% of an action, is not focusing on the moment, but focusing on the mountain of everything we have to do. I call that focusing on the moment, this number 2. You see, you can't climb a mountain all at once. You have to climb it one step at a time, and you need to focus on the moment. But what ends up happening is people start to freak out and they start creating these negative hypotheticals of, well, if this happens, then that's going to happen. And if that's going to happen, I'll never get there. And they don't even start because the mountain of the task overwhelms them. But if we stay focused on the moment of what we can control, then we can block these holes and get 100% of our action. Okay? Now the final thing is something I've created that I found out that I was doing through all the times of challenge in my life, whether it was going through SEAL Team or in sport or creating different companies, and it's called an outcome account. And I talk about it a lot in my books, but here's the simple version of it. You define the goal up top, you put a plus and you put a minus, and then I want you to do this simple little drill. Write out the positive outcome and the negative outcome on either side. The negative, if I don't achieve the goal, what happens? Number 2, who does it impact? If I achieve the goal positively, who's it impact? And what happens and who gets impacted if I don't achieve the goal? And finally, 3, how do I feel and those that I care about feel if I achieve the goal or if I don't achieve the goal? This is focus number 3. You see, when you get stuck, and when he was saying, well, you got to decide what you're going to focus on. Are you going to focus on what it's going to feel like to give up? Or are you going to focus on what it feels like to succeed? I call that focusing on the outcome. And when you do these and use these 3 actions of focus, you'll understand that it doesn't matter if you're in uncertain times or certain times, because you are taking proactive action towards your own future. You're not letting the uncertainty dictate it. Don't ever forget, there is always equal amounts opportunity when it comes to uncertainty. Know that I believe in you, as do all the other speakers here. We want you to thrive. Use these 3 ideas around focus on focus, focus on the moment, focus on your outcomes to be unstoppable. We're here with you together, and go be unstoppable.